people should check in with the final girl, because I don't think she's fine. If I just don't move for the rest of the video, we'll be good. Hello friends, welcome or welcome back. This week we're trying out manual focus because autofocus is annoying AF. Today, I want to talk about the concept of the final girl. I've been watching a lot of Halloween movies recently, one of them being Halloween, and in the new one, Laurie Strode. Oh, I'm dancing because... Yes, Laurie Strode in Halloween, if you're one of those people. I watched the new one. I've made a video about that before. I don't know if it's still public. If it is, I'll link it somewhere. Then I started watching, like, Scream Sydney. Sid, if you will. These people have suffered just the most intense trauma, and in the world of these movies, everybody knows about it. Laurie can't, like... Well, no, I guess it was a long time ago. But, like, when the movie comes out in Scream, Sydney starts getting prank phone calls and whatnot because people know, oh wow, look, this is a whole big thing, and I know that it's you, and I know that this is your story, and it is for my entertainment, and now I'm gonna call you and be like, Sydney, what's your favorite scary movie? And I started thinking about how, pardon my gender, but are we not final girls? Just because our horror is not on a screen, that doesn't mean it doesn't replay on a screen between eyeballs and brain. If you know, you know. And in a lot of ways, the new Halloween movie where, well, if you've seen it, you know, Laurie's character and the way things have gone for her throughout her life, that just resonated with me a lot. And it got me to thinking, you know, the concept of the final girl is like the lady who makes it through to the end and doesn't die when everybody else has been murdered. But how do I put this into words that make any kind of sense? As a concept, where do you go after the trauma? What do you do? What do you do? Well, in many cases, you grin and bear it, and you take everybody's good intentions in through your ears, and you hold on to what actually happens, and you say thank you. And that doesn't feel so final. Like, people should check in with the final girl, because I don't think she's fine. But what do you do when your life has been a horror film, and it's something that other people use as an example, just like off the cuff, just totally cavalier? Can you imagine in cases of this happening, and it's your life that they're talking about, but they don't know it? It's an interesting feeling, and this is partially inspired by an internet friend of mine who has mentioned on their online presence that they don't love their scenario being used as an example of something horrific. I started thinking about how that happens to me on almost a daily basis. There's a scenario that comes to mind where a coworker was reading poetry. Reading poetry to me. No, it was there was a poetry book, long story short, and there was a really dark poem, and this person was like, do you want to hear a really dark poem? And I was like, absolutely, always, yes please, thanks. It was just like frighteningly similar to experiences I've had in the past, and I don't know if I had like a socially appropriate response to it, because I was just like, oh yeah, it's pretty dark. And I think what I was supposed to do was like, oh god, that happens. I can't believe that happens. What? Yeah, I know it happens. I don't know what to tell you. I can't comfort you with shock and horror because I'm not shocked, and I'm not that scandalized by things I know personally. But it's interesting. You're kind of in a rough spot. It's a complicated position to be in when you're on the other side of the guy in the mask running around with a knife. If you're like a Sydney and everybody knows it was a very public thing what happened to you, you're expected to comfort everybody around you when they come to you and say, oh my god, I could never. You're so special and strong. How do you respond to that? I don't know how to respond to that, and I bet you wouldn't either, because you're not special, you're not strong, you're a human who was put into unreasonable circumstances, and now other people are praising you for it and like, okay, cool, but what am I supposed to do with everything going on in here now? Oh, in Scream 2, Sydney is on stage, and they're like dancing and there's masks, and then she starts to have a flashback of like the Scream mask. And that continues to happen even after Michael Myers is on fire. This is even after whatever happens at the end of Scream. I can't remember. I have a goldfish for a brain. But if you're more of a Laurie and you're isolated and people don't really recognize you or know that they know about your stuff, it's a lot of the poetry book. It's a lot of the poetry book. It's a lot of, look at this horrific thing that happened. Wouldn't that be intense? Wouldn't that be crazy? Yes, it would. And yes, it was. And sometimes, to protect your own peace, you protect that of those around you. Because you know what? It's just a whole can of worms. And worms are kind of disgusting. So what we do is we smile. And we say, yeah, that would suck. And we feel incredibly invalidated because there's a lot of othering that happens there. It's like, oh, victims of SA, victims of childhood abuse of certain natures, victims of XYZ. Victims are a whole other thing, and we either say, wow, you need to get over it, or we put them up on a pedestal, wow, you got over it. And I think those extremes are bullshit. I don't have any solutions for you, final girls. I think what we need to do is pick our battles, decide when to grin and bear it, and shoot out the sparkly, yeah, totally, my life is fine. And when to be honest and let people know, actually, my name is Laurie Strode, and I just want to live in the forest with my mannequins and paranoia. What I have found personally is that it's less exhausting in the correct environment. Time and place is something that I'm still learning. But when it is the correct time and the correct place, coming forward and saying, I know this from experience, to me it is important to raise awareness of the fact that you never know who you're talking to and what their background is. Because I feel like if we all feel more open to talk about the horrors that we have lived through and been the one to step out on the other side of, it'll be easier for all of us to heal from all of these horrors, and the Lauries and Sydneys can get a good night's sleep, and everybody can learn a little bit about trauma. But that's a whole can of worms, and worms are disgusting, so people tend to opt for the painful grin. Anyway, don't forget to live authentically this holiday season. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to be kind to yourself and others. And I will see you next week with another just casually thrown together Halloween look. Am I gonna say Halloween forevermore just because I said it as a joke that one time? I hope you get a good night's sleep tonight. Finally.